BS6 Phase 2 is commencing from 1st April 2023 in India. Some years ago, we jumped from BS4 to BS6 to reduce and constrain the harmful emissions from IC engine. Now, to restrict the harmful emissions in a prescribed lower range, we will have BS6 Phase 2, or we can say that it is a stringent or constricted or strict phase of BS6. India follows Bharat Stage Emission Standard that is based on European Emission Standard used in European countries. In India, we skipped the BS5 due to delays between introduction of BS3 and BS4, and we jumped from BS4 to BS6. With every new emission norms, the emission standards get stricter as compared to its predecessors. So BS6 was divided into two stages. Stage 1 of Phase 1 was implemented in April 2020. Stage 2, which will be implemented from April 2023. So what we want to do is to reduce air pollution in country by implementing stricter norms for IC engine to lower down the harmful emission like NOx, CO2, CO, hydrocarbon or HC and other particulate matters. BS6 Phase 2 norms will have RDE or real driving emission to achieve emission goals in real world conditions like when user is in traffic, speed changes, acceleration or deceleration occurs. All this is different from ideal tested conditions of the lab. RDE will provide more realistic or precise estimation of amount of emissions that will be produced by vehicle in real world conditions. These stricter norms of Phase 2 of BS6 will require vehicles to get upgraded with more advanced technologies like programmed fuel injector, self-diagnostic devices or SDD, onboard diagnostic like OBD, upgraded semiconductors, etc. One of the examples can be seen of Tata. As BS6 Phase 2 norms are approaching ahead of deadline, Tata has revamped its IC engine lineup with RDE and E20 compliant engines. Here E20 means 20% blend of ethanol with fuel. Now the end user is also concerned about the new pricing with these phase 2 regulations of BS6. Now it is definite that price will increase as with introduction of new devices to existing model of vehicles to get exact data of emissions in real world conditions, and certain discontinuation of specific models of vehicles will also occur in the auto industry. All BS6 compliant vehicles are required to be run on engines with lower NOx and particulate matter emissions, as per prescribed range. To achieve this goal, manufacturers use either LNT, that means lean NOx trap, or SCR, selective catalytic reduction. LNT works by filtering out NOx content from exhaust gases. On the other side, SCR injects AdBlue solution, that means water-based urea solution, into exhaust flow to reduce the nitrogen oxide emissions into inert nitrogen and water. LNT are simpler and more cost-effective than SCR. LNT was employed by small capacity diesel engines to meet current emission standards, and larger diesel engines, generally 2 liter, that means 2000 cc or above, had already shifted to SCR to meet BS6 norms in 2020. Now for second phase, small diesel engines will go through the expensive route of SCR. Therefore, for diesel engines, it is expensive to upgrade to RDE norms, and certain discontinuation of specific variants will be seen. For petrol engines, upgradation will impact on the buyer's budget, but it will not be as expensive as diesel engines. For 2 and 3 wheelers, the transition from phase 1 to phase 2 will be on easier side as compared to 4 wheelers. But the price hike will be seen as due to the addition of advanced technologies to control harmful emissions and to save the environment. One can see the price hike in IC engine vehicles of Tata to get analogy of price hike from other manufacturers. Tata's flagship SUVs, the Harrier and Safari, get price hiked by up to Rs 25,000. Nexon gets costlier by up to Rs 17,000. Altos gets price hike by up to Rs 15,000. Punch gets pricer up to Rs 10,000. So here is a little information about OBD and SDD. OBD or onboard diagnostics is an advanced electronic device that checks for any malfunction in vehicles. It will monitor engine misfire, catalytic converter and oxygen sensors. Now, self-diagnostic device or SDD. This will constantly monitor the vehicle's emission level while driving. BS6 Phase 2 vehicles will have sensor and devices to warn drivers when emissions exceed above the prescribed parameters, and will provide the reminder to get the vehicle serviced. One of the other thing is to discuss here is C.A.F.E norms, that is acronym for Corporate Average Fuel Economy. These norms aims at lowering fuel consumption of vehicles by reducing their CO2 emissions. The CAFE regulations were introduced in India in 2017 and applied to petrol, diesel, LPG and CNG powered vehicles. As government had announced, CAFE second started acting from April 2022. So primary difference between BS6 and CAFE norms is that while BS6 norms focus on reducing harmful exhaust byproducts and CAFE norms solely focus on reducing CO2 emissions. So this was all for the video. Hope you enjoyed this little information on BS6 Phase 2 and you are watching Tech Camp and subscribe the channel for more upgrades.